Glide and soar, raining fire from above. Become the assassin of Rivaria with the bow. I'll show you how by guiding you through the moveset in 3 easy to follow levels, so you can start simple and grow from there. And I've prepared for you an array of flowcharts and diagrams to help you visualize how it all links together. And level 1 will take less than 1 minute, so set the timer and let's go. Look for the flashes as we hold R2 to charge. Once you've reached level 3, pick your moment, aim with L2 and release. Immediately follow this up with circle for a close range power shot. And if the opening is there, circle once more for a power volley, with more power but more commitment. Avoid damage with a slide using a direction and X whilst holding L2. Hold R2 through this to maintain your charge. With your weapon draw, apply a coating with triangle for a wealth of different effects. And finally, if the monster's distracted, press triangle and circle together and aim down the longest length for a dragon piercer. High commitment, high satisfaction. Load up on constitution and stamina surge and get out there and have fun. And that's about it for level 1 of bow. But there's tons more to learn in levels 2 and 3 with raining arrows, shotgun bursts, flying shots and even some animation cancelling shenanigans, so stay tuned for more. But before we get into that, I'd like to elaborate on a few things we just learnt about. Hi by the way, I'm Dunks, so good to have you. Welcome to the channel. First of all, your ammo coatings consume your trick gauge, but this naturally replenishes as you attack. The charging alone is usually enough to keep this topped up with no worries of running out. If you initiate that sliding dodge just before an attack lands, you'll do a discerning dodge, greatly building trick gauge, charge level, replenishing stamina, and giving you hyper armor through the attack. This is incredibly fun, and when paired with an armor skill like Adrenaline Rush, can even be used to boost your raw attack. And honestly, part of the fun with the bow comes by figuring out the best direction to dodge in for a given attack. See what sets you up for a tasty opening, and in the words of the prophet, dodge, duck, dip, dive and dodge. But beware, it only gives you armor for 1 hit per dodge, and some moves register as double, which is quite annoying, but just keep an eye out for it. Alright, let's talk coatings. Each bow you can craft has its own applicable coatings as standard, with others optionally available using decorations. Poison, blast and paralysis grant build up of those statuses. Power coatings increase the strength of each arrow by 30%. And the almighty close range coatings increase it by 40%, as long as you are, you guessed it, at close range. Pierce allows all your shots to pass through the target, doing damage along the way, like mini dragon piercers. And finally, there's the strangely titled exhaust coatings. Think of these as impact coatings. If enough of them are aimed at the head, they can cause a knockout, and hits anywhere will cause the monster to tire out quicker. With so much stamina use, armor and weapon builds can be tricky. I'll post a link in the description to an exquisite Reddit post by Echoes Part 1 and various collaborators. Just click on the bow meta. I really like this 4-piece gore build because it doesn't need any particular food buffs to function comfortably with stamina. In fact, this whole bow compendium is an incredible resource, so after this video, please have a read if you want to deep dive even further. Regarding the charge shot, you can release the charge early for a less powerful shot if you like, or tap R2 3 times to get the charge up to max. The damage of the follow-up power shot is tied to the preceding charge level though, so just bear that in mind. And by the way, you can tell which charge level you are at by counting the dots on the side of the reticle. Also, from neutral, you can tap circle to do a quick shot, which is weak but doesn't consume stamina. This leads into the power shot. In general, with the bow, try and stay at mid-distance, unless you're using close range coatings or a shot called the 1000 Dragons, which we'll talk about more in level 2. Thankfully, it's pretty clear when you're too far away, as the game tells you. In level 2, we'll cover some high-flying shotgun blasting action, but first, a little clarification on the Dragon Piercer. The standard Premium Edition Dragon Piercer is when initiated from neutral, but if you perform the inputs directly after another move, you'll instead do what is easily the most confusingly translated move, the Instant Dragon Piercer. It's Well, it's not instant, but it's 30% quicker, but 30% less powerful. Up to you what you want to do with that information, but get out there and pierce every single, that's a bear, dragon. Level 2. Let's add another movement option. At the end of the sliding dodge, press triangle with a directional input to do a flying swallow shot. This gives you a further burst of movement on top of the dodge whilst attacking from above. Just make sure you don't have any gum in your mouth because, you shouldn't swallow gum. I'll be here all night. For a close range finisher, press triangle, circle and R2 together for the 1,000 dragons, which honestly is too many dragons. This is a powerful, high commitment blast of 5 arrows that does great damage but is very short ranged. I think of it as being comparable to how shotguns are often treated in games, as being widespread, close range blasts. And it's worth noting that you can cancel the cooldown of 1,000 dragons by doing a sliding dodge out of it. Now, it can be tricky to land all 5 of those on a weak spot. Wouldn't it be great to just guarantee that you can land them all? Well, you can. Let's cover tracer arrows. While holding down R2, press square. When do we ever use square? Anyway, this will load and charge up a tracer arrow, costing some of your trick gauge. Try and land it on a spot that you want to target. Now, your next load of attacks will attempt to home in on that spot, up to the damage threshold where the tracer blows up. Nice. This is a lifesaver for monsters with frustratingly small weak zones. So, if you track a monster, then time a reasonably well positioned 1,000 dragons, then all 5 of those shots should hit the weak spot. In level 3, we'll talk about how to rain a storm of arrows, and even go over some animation cancelling to make your standard combo faster. But first, it's focus attack time, and this is a strange one indeed. While holding down LT to aim, now also hold down R1 to bring up this big circle and hold it over the monster. If there are any wounds, they will one by one become highlighted, ready for your action. Release R1 and you'll send out a shot to lock the monster in place, setting you up for an automatic Dragon Piercer. Also, don't worry about the out of range pop-up with this free Dragon Piercer. The range is actually pretty generous on it. So, you'll notice it's a little slow to pick up on the wounds. Bear this in mind so that you're not trying to set it up in a life or death moment. And while you can pop multiple wounds at one time, I'd say maybe don't. 3 reasons. The first is that most of your damage comes from the automatic Dragon Piercer, and since you do this once per activation of the focus attack, you're actually losing out on free damage with each wound if you try and do multiple wounds at once. The second reason is that the focus attack is a great way of keeping the monster in place so they can't run away. It's great to build up wounds and then lock the monster in place before it goes back to nest. And thirdly, in multiplayer, it's good form to allow your teammates to pop some of the wounds. Many weapons like the Insect Glaive and the Charge Blade get their setups catalyzed by the focus attacks, so it helps the whole team if they get to pop some. If you've been enjoying this video, please consider sharing some encouragement with a like or maybe an encouraging comment, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Level 3. Okay, hold L2 and R2 and tap circle. Aim the resulting circle under the monster and release R2 to fire an arc shot, dealing damage but also attaching a bunch of fuse arrows. These detonate of their own accord, but these detonations can be triggered manually in a couple of ways. Firstly, 1,000 Dragons and Dragon Piercer both detonate fuse arrows. And secondly, hold L2 and R1 to bring up that circular reticle again. This will instantly lock onto all the fuse arrows, and you can then release R1 to fire homing shots to blow these up. But be aware that these instantly pick up on wounds as well, so your focus strike might also trigger. We'll finish up with an extremely satisfying animation cancel that makes our standard combo much quicker. But first, I just wanted to note, the intent of this guide is to help people get up and running with the bow. There may be a few moves or aspects I've missed, but that's because I just wanted to present what I found most interesting, fun and helpful. If you're a long-term bow main and think I've missed out on an awesome trick that people might want to know, please leave a comment so that others can learn from you. Thanks so much. Alright, this could be level 4, but yes, animation cancelling. This greatly reduces the usual delay between the charge shot and the power shot. That's releasing R2 and then pressing circle. As you already know, we can hold our charge through the sliding dodge by holding R2. If we release R2 during the dodge, then we tell the game to automatically unleash the charge shot once the dodge animation is finished. Similarly, if we release R2 and then press circle before the dodge ends, we can also queue up the following power shot, so that when the dodge ends, we do our charge shot and then our power shot automatically. And depending on the timing of these inputs, the resulting power shot will come out much quicker than it normally would. This is the animation cancel. Now this is timing dependent. If the two shots are inputted right at the beginning of the slide, then only the power shot will happen, and that's not what we want. And if it's too late, then we'll just get the regular gap. This will take some practice on your end. But as long as you release R2 and quickly press circle around the middle of the slide, you should be okay. And thankfully, this works with the discerning dodge as well. And to learn more, I definitely recommend reading through that gear guide, because that talks about some of the animation cancelling as well. And lastly, before you go, why is it called 1000 Dragons? It fires 6 arrows, so is each arrow worth 166.6 recurring dragons? And then are we creating these dragons just to pierce them with the dragon piercer? That seems cruel. What's the deal with that? Why do both our big high commitment finishes both have dragon in the title? And what's even worse is with the gun dance. Then we're expected to know the difference between Wyvern's fire and the worm stake cannon, but Wyvern and worm are just names for dragon-like creatures. Are we using the fire of a wyvern or the fire at a wyvern?